Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a quick video about citing sources and what it is I'm looking for when I ask you to cite reliable sources in your writing for this class. So a couple of really important things, and the first is that anytime you write down in your writing for this class, probably for any other class at this school, anytime you write down any kind of fact, even if it's something you know really well, even if it's something you've learned in class, it's really important to indicate to the reader where you got that information. And I think you guys have probably by now developed an appreciation for this, just following some of the national conversations that are going on. There's a lot of information out there, right? And it's really important that people are able to judge for themselves the trustworthiness of that information. And that's why we always want to include citations for everything that we say, so that our readers can judge for themselves if they're going to, take that at face value or not, depending on where you got the information, right? So as you move on in science, it becomes really important that you cite information only from what we call primary sources. So these would be peer-reviewed research articles or databases, data sets that are literally the original research from which the information came. I am not asking you to go to that level in this class, but I would like you to use information from trustworthy sources. And if you have a question at any point about whether a particular source is trustworthy, definitely all you have to do is ask. I'm happy to give you an answer. So I'm not going to give you guys a huge list here because there's a variety of sources that are more or less reliable that you could be using. I do want to run through an example of what I'd like you to do whenever you do your citation, because we are asking for it in a particular format. So this is the APA format of citation. And I thought it would be useful to run through a quick example. So I'm going to harken back to one of the presentations we heard the other day, let's say from the fish group. So the fish group had a lot of really interesting information about fish that they talked about. And one of the things that I will pull out is they talked about the swim bladder of the fish, and they told us how that was used to basically regulate the fish's buoyancy. All right, so for the purposes of our informal presentations, I wasn't looking for citations. Hopefully you guys did some background searching to find and double check your information, but I wasn't asking for a reference list there. And that's kind of standard for our informal presentations for this class. But when you're writing, totally different story. I want to see where each piece of information came from. So if I were to include in my writing a sentence about swim bladders, it might go something like whatever I just said. Let's not do it in bold. Swim bladders are organs that allow a fish to regulate its buoyancy and, I don't know, maintain its position in the water column, or maintain its vertical position, how about, without having to actively swim, without actively swimming, which I believe is basically what the group told us the swim bladder was for. All right, so it is not, even though I might know that fact really, really well, and I might be absolutely sure I'm correct, that's fine. We still want to cite a source for that information for the purposes of our writing. So I just pulled up this little article here. So I'm not generally a fan of using encyclopedia articles, but some of the stuff you guys are going to be talking about is pretty general, and that may be our best and easiest choice. So you want to choose a reliable one, ideally one that has some peer editing involved. But here we have, some information about swim bladders. So I'm going to click on the swim bladder link because this is the link I actually meant to have up. So here's a short article about swim bladders that basically tells us the same thing that we just wrote, right? So it allows the fish to maintain its depth without floating upward or sinking, and it doesn't have to swim to maintain its position, right? So I can use this this article as my reliable source for that fact. And one nice thing about some of these encyclopedia sites is it makes it really easy to cite. So here I'm just going to hit the Cite button. And it allows me to select my citation style. And I actually want APA. And I choose APA because it is almost always an option when it does format the citation for you. I just do that to make it easier for you folks. So here it gives me the citation as it should appear in my reference list. So I want to go ahead and copy that, but first I want you to note that there's a piece of information missing. So these aren't always perfect. Sometimes you need to fill in some stuff. So right now it's not giving me a date, it's just saying invalid date. So I'll show you what I would do to fix that. But right now I'm going to copy the citation, and then I'm going to go back over to my documents. I'm going to start my reference section, and then I am going to paste that right in. And that is my formatted reference for that information. But I need another thing too that I'll get at in a moment. But first I want to fix this date. So I'm going to go back to my article. And another nice thing that happens here is that I can view the edit history, and I can see when this article was most recently edited. And I'm just going to go ahead and use that date. So that looks like 2020 was the most recent date that anybody looked at this. So I'm going to go ahead and use 2020. So instead of invalid date, I'm going to go ahead and put in 2020 as my date. Alright, so once I have this in my reference, I also want to indicate right at the end of this sentence where this information came from, and I want to link it to this reference right here. And the way I do that is by using what's called an in-text citation. So I'm going to write that out just in case you have trouble making out what I'm saying. So this is my in-text citation that I'm about to give you. Alright, and all I want to do here in the APA format is I want to include the last name of the author and the date that the information was published. So I think I gave you guys this link to how to do APA citation style. So this link kind of walks you through what you're looking for. And somewhere down here, where was it? In text citations, right here. So you want to use the last name of the author and the year. I'm trying to find where it's all in parentheses. Oh, here we go. So last name of the author, comma, and then the year of the publication. And it'll walk you through what to do if there's multiple authors. Basically, if there's two authors, you put both of their last names and the dates. If there's three authors, you use, you write them all out with an ampersand. I don't know. You can read through all this information about how to cite in your particular source, but this is where you can find it. So going back to my document here, because this is an encyclopedia article, and this is one reason I don't like encyclopedia articles, it doesn't have an actual author listed, but it uses the editors of the encyclopedia as the author, which I guess is somewhat fair since there's a bazillion editors. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to use the name of the organization, basically. So I'm going to go with Britannica, and then comma 2020. All right, and that right there is my in-text citation, and I can draw a little arrow here. We changed everything. There it is. All right, so that is my in-text citation right there. All right, and that's really what I'm looking for. So again, I want a citation for every fact. I want both the in-text citation, like right at the end of the sentence that has the fact in it, and then also make sure that you've listed that reference. And as a last double check, when you're done with your writing, you want to go through You want to make sure that everything that you've cited in your text appears as a full bibliographic record in your reference section, and these should be in alphabetical order. In alphabetical order. All right. And then you also want to make sure that everything you've listed in your references is cited somewhere in the text. So anything that you include in either spot should be in both, if that makes sense. All right, so that is my little spiel about citing sources. Hopefully that was helpful. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.